What are the best tax planning niches for 2026? This is the question, and it's the exact thing you're gonna get the answer to by the end of this video, so that by the end of the video, you know exactly who to market to so that you can make the most money. You can also have them stay the longest with you, and they can refer you to all of their wealthy, affluent friends. If we haven't met before, my name's Daniel Schulte. I run wealthyclients.com, where we help tax strategists scale without burning out by having them become the irresistible go-to authority to their dream clients. So with that being said, what are the best tax planning niches for 2026? Is it business owners, real estate investors, high income W-2? Is it crypto investors? Who is it, okay? Well, I don't know about you, but the answer is actually a little bit different for everybody. You see, I used to think back in the day that, everybody should go after real estate investors because that's where all the tax strategies are. Or, you should go after high income W-2 because they're the most in pain, right? There's the least that they can do compared to business owners. However, right, W-2, they've been told their entire life, there's nothing that you can do. That's just part of paying taxes. So what's the best niche? And I actually came up with a framework to find your best niche. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but back in the day in elementary school, we used to do Venn diagrams, okay? And my teacher, what she would do is she would have us do this, and we would find our best skill, or I think we actually used to do this for what our best jobs were going to be. And I can tell you one thing, it definitely wasn't going to be about marketing for me. I think they had me pegged as like a psychologist or something, but I guess that lends its help in marketing, right? So anyway, with the 3 Venn diagrams, I noticed that some of my clients, they were getting into niches that they really didn't like to work with. So for example, I think we all know that a lot of lawyers make a lot of money, okay? If they're in any type of litigation or personal injury, lawyers can make a ton of money. However, based on what my clients have told me, some of these lawyers can be pompous and very, very, very hard to work with, okay? So the first circle that we always look at, I should say, okay, is that you have to like, that's not an L, you have to like the people that you work with. Okay? For example, I like to work with tax strategists because it helps my overall mission, which is to help people achieve financial liberation through my clients' products and services. Now, with tax planners, a lot of them are the overlooked expert, meaning they can help a ton of people, they just don't know how to get the word out. And once they do, they are able to help people, and the people that they help is able to put money back into their communities, or they're even able just to put it back into their own pocket so that they can help their family and help build generational wealth. So the first one is that you have to like actually working with those people. The second one is that you have to be able to get them results. You need to be able to deliver results. Now, when I first started my marketing agency, I actually worked with restaurants back in the day. And with restaurants, if you're an accountant watching this, you probably know the margins on restaurants. They're super slim, and restaurants actually have the highest turnover rate out of all the businesses that are out there. And so if we're selling, $10 pizzas and we only have, let's say, a 10% margin, right? That means that we're going to have $1 of profit when it's all said and done. Now with me, right, we had to factor in marketing costs. The marketing costs went up. If we were doing a buy one, get one, for example, the cost of goods sold also went up. So now we had to factor this in. So now, right, we weren't actually selling $1 and profiting selling a $10 pizza and profiting $1, right? It was more like we were losing $2 to get a customer in the door. So with that being said, we had to sell a ton of these in order to actually even just break even on getting results. And so it was really, really, really hard just because of the margins of the business. Now, when I switched over to tax strategists, right, one of the things that I liked is, a lot of tax strategists, they'll sell, tax plans for anywhere from, $10K to, depending on the traffic source, 100K for a tax plan. So if we just have, 2 or 3 of these a month, I only need to sell 2 or 3 of these to get way better results than selling 200 pizzas, okay? And not to mention, right, it's also easier for me to get results because who doesn't want to save money on their taxes, right? Everybody wants to save money, and that's one of the things that drew me to this niche is that the offer, right? The offer basically sells itself, okay? And so it was way easier for me to get results for this niche compared to the restaurant niche. And what's crazy is that I actually do less, okay? I had to make a way more robust marketing system for restaurants to be able to get them results compared to what I do for tax planners because, just of, like I talked about, right? The margins on restaurants, it was absolutely horrible. And like I said, who doesn't want to save money on their taxes, right? Everybody wants to. So the first thing is that you have to like working with the niche. Like I said, for me, right, it goes into my overall mission, which is that I want to help people achieve financial liberation through my clients' products and services, right? The second one that you need is you need results, okay? Obviously for me, right, it's a lot easier to sell a couple of tax plans than it is to sell 200 pizzas and break even, okay? And then the third thing is that they have to be able to pay you what you are worth, okay? Or, right, pay you the most. And for this, I really like to use this example. So let's say that we have 3 businesses and business A makes 100K. Business B makes $1 million and business C makes 10 million. Well, if you're trying to sell, let's say a $10,000 tax plan, okay, with business A, it is 10% of their overall revenue. And if I had to guess, you're probably gonna charge them 10K, they're gonna save 10K, and it's gonna end up being a wash. And because it's gonna end up being a wash, it's gonna be way more work for them to just go and do it as opposed to not shelling out the 10K to begin with. Now, if we go to business B, who's doing $1 million, well, it's only 1% of their total revenue, okay? And not to mention, because they're making more money than business A, it's also probably likely that their tax bill has increased. We'll just have these dollar signs here, okay? Now, let's take this exact same business and let's go to the guy who's doing $10 million a year. Now, let's say he's been working with a tax preparer and an accountant since the day that he's been inception and they've been in business for, I don't know, let's say 20 years, okay? And on top of that, his accountant that he uses doesn't know anything about tax strategy and tax planning. Well, if you and I both had to guess, his tax bill is probably sky high. So if you come to this guy doing $10 million a year, it's not 10% of his revenue, right? It's not 1% of his revenue. It's only 0.1% of his overall revenue, okay? And not to mention, this guy's also paying the most amount in tax. I heard this story. I don't even know who originally said this, but it's about a daughter who graduates high school. And as a graduation gift, her dad comes and gives her this old used car. And he says, hey, you're gonna take this car, right? I'm gonna draw a car. I've really been loving this vibe board, by the way. This thing has been absolutely sick. It was like $6,000, but I totally recommend this. So he gives her daughter a used beat up car. And he says, hey, I need you to take it to these 3 different places who, will offer to buy it to you. So she goes to vendor A, and vendor A takes one look at the car and says, I'm not gonna give you a single dollar for that car. That thing's junk. There's no way I'd be able to sell this thing. So she takes it to the next guy. And the second guy takes a look at it and says, look, I'll give you like $500 and I can maybe sell it for parts, but I really think you're just wasting your time and you're not gonna go anywhere with this car. Well, the third guy, she goes to the third guy. And the third guy takes one look at the car and says, I will give you $20,000 for that car. And after the fact, she found out that this guy, I'll give him some teeth there, was a collector of this car. It's the exact same car, but based on who you're showing it to and what those people value, their values will dictate the value of what you're selling. So going back to our example up here, right? If you want to get paid more, you have to go where the problems are bigger, because the bigger the problems, the more you can actually charge to solve that problem. And the market rewards you based on the level of problems that you're able to solve and the volume or the scale at which you're able to solve that problem. So we can actually probably take this exact same 10K tax plan over here, and you could probably charge the guy, you know, 50K for the exact same amount of work, but because of how big a problem it is, right? Which would change this to what, I think 0.5%, not even an entire percent. Based on how big the problem is, you are able to do way more results for this guy compared to the guy who's only making 100K. So please, if you're a tax planner, do not go after small businesses. It is not worth your time. It is going to be an uphill battle, I promise you, okay? And I'm saying this from experience based off of working with my clients. So just to recap, the best tax planning niche for 2026. I know I didn't give you an exact answer like real estate or high income W-2, but what I've found, the people who stay in it for the long game and who enjoy what they do, first, they have to like the clientele that they're working with. Second, they have to be able to deliver results. So if you don't have any W-2 tax strategies, it's really gonna be hard, no matter how much you like the W-2 market, if you don't have any W-2 tax planning strategies, then it's really gonna be hard to deliver results, okay? And the last one is that they have to be able to pay you what you're worth or to pay you the most. So that's how to pick the best tax planning niche for 2026 and beyond. Again, my name is Daniel Schulte with Wealthy Clients. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe so you know when we drop bangers like this video, and I'll see you on the next one.